Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic Podcast. Today's show was recorded on November the 27th, 2018. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, sitting sadly in the captain's chair.
Caffeine rage? Why am I so sad?
Because of Game Club. Sad boy. Anyways, on today's show, speaking of Game Club, we will be having our November Game Club, which is Divinity Dragon Commander. We will be revealing our next Game Club game for December. Loot boxes are gambling. We'll have our weekly community corner and a Steam...
You kind of skipped over the last part of that, didn't you? The FTC is going to investigate?
Oh, no, I put the...
Okay.
Put those two together. Anyways, we'll have a Steam Discovery queue or two. This is going to be a mess to edit. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hello, Rage.
Do you just want to redo that since, you're going to be pressed for time?
No, it's fine.
Okay, well, I offered.
You did. You did offer, but, I mean, won't be that bad. I'm joking when I say it'll be a mess to edit. It'll be just like a couple of cuts and a mute here or there, then we'll be good to go.
Also, dramatically improve the quality of it just by muting me. Got it.
Yeah, it's like 50% of my edits, don't you know? Sick burn. It's going to dunk on you.
Actually, I'm surprised it's just 50.
That's a new phrase I heard somebody say today. Dunk on you. Just going to dunk on you. I like it. Probably makes me an old man, like co-opting a phrase that the kids these days say. But I kind of like it, so, Anyways, hi, Rage.
I think you're too gravitationally friendly to be able to dunk.
Are you saying that my gravitational field is a little larger than the usual person who dunks?
I'm just saying that the Earth has a really good grip.
Yeah, I'm not good at jumping or dunking or sports in general. That's why I'm a nerd.
Nerd!
Anyways, hello, Rage.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. Been a little busy the last few days. So not much for me to talk about games-wise, which is why there's a notable absence in the show lineup today.
Indeed. I had one game, but after we talked about it for a couple minutes, I decided to just hold off. It is a very large, deep game that I have been playing.
Huge.
And while I could have talked about it, since you didn't have any games, I'm just going to save it. There's some in-game systems I'm just getting to, like just discovering. So, but it's going to be, I'm only going to have one game next week, and I'll be surprised if I talk about it for less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, I had a couple games that I played, but I didn't put enough time into them to really be able to talk about them that much. I went back to Machinki, I believe it is, the train sandbox game.
Yep.
They released a new era and did some performance in streamlining, but I didn't get to the new era, and I'm still rehashing what I did before because they wiped the save files. So, that's going to be a while. And I'm about halfway through the 4th Blackwell game. And I'd much rather take that in one fell swoop instead of breaking up an episodic story. I wanted to avoid that, right?
Yeah.
Even though technically that's not an episodic game, it still has the same feel for it because they're shortish episodes, about 3 or 4 hours. A little bit on the longer side of the episodic games, but same basic idea where it's an overarching story. But each one is self-contained, so it's a little bit of an oddity to call it episodic, but it works.
Right.
And I did hit max rank in Warframe, and shit's more fucked up than I thought.
Yeah.
I sent you those screenshots, and you just went, oh.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm not like grossly disturbed or anything, but I was not expecting that. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, this is dark.
Yeah. deliciously dark, right?
Oh yeah. Nom nom nom.
Like a good dark chocolate.
See, I don't like dark chocolate.
Prefer milk.
Definitely prefer milk chocolate, but number one for me, white chocolate.
All right.
Because I'm racist. No, but I just prefer white chocolate.
So you want to make your chocolate white again?
Yes. I'm just like shaking my head, just like, yep.
So shall we get on to Game Club?
Yes,
Unless
indeed.
you want to ramble a little bit more.
No, I was gonna say. So, how about that Game Club, Rach?
Oh, I really tried to get into this. Our Game Club for this month was Divinity Dragon Commander. And Game Club is a time when we get together and play a game either at the same time or together, depending on the game, of course. Because we have very diverging tastes. And this month, I just couldn't do it. Divinity Dragon Commander, it's a hybrid political sim / RTS. I think that would be a fair thing to call it, right?
Yes, but it also
Kinda.
does that RTS thing that you see sometimes, where it's like you can take command of a unit on the battlefield, and specifically, like it's your dragon.
Sort of like how Brutal Legend did it.
Yeah. At any point in time, well, not at any point in time. Like once you hit a certain point in the match, it's like you unlock the ability to spawn your dragon, so then you can spawn yourself and fight. So it does that.
Yeah,
But
and I just could not get into this. I tried, and the game has a severe psychological. It doesn't gel well with how I play strategy games. I tend to hang back a bit more, build up, and get either a ball of death, or I try to outmaneuver and play a little bit more on the defensive side of things. Doesn't work well in this game. If you're not doing a Zerg rush, you lose.
yeah, it doesn't play well with that playstyle early on in the game. So I mean, there's a story to it. It's divided into 3 chapters, and the length of the chapters is basically just how long it takes you to win the area. It's like you beat the map, the big overworld map.
Plays like Risk.
Yeah, each it's got territories, and you move troops around your territories, and then when you move your troops into an enemy territory, then a combat starts, and you can choose to either do it yourself. You can have one of your generals take over, or you can just have like
which is essentially auto resolve.
Yeah, and then there's an auto resolve with like no generals. It's just like the army.
But it's a lower chance.
Right. So, and it's divided into 3 chapters, and basically conquering each map unlocks the next major portion of the story, as well as the next map. So, how far did you get, like for the audience?
I only got a handful of turns because every single time I tried it, by turn 5, I had the AI throw 10 plus units, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a fuck ton of a lot in the Risk map, directly at my capital. And auto resolve was a 98 to a 2% chance, to give you an idea.
Yeah. I'm assuming you were the 2%.
Of course. I wouldn't be bitching about it if I was the 98.
Right. And I did not beat the game, but I got all the way to the 3rd chapter. So aside from, how the story ends, I know all of the story stuff. What the game does. Okay, so the story is that you are the last...
the bastard son.
Right. You're the bastard son of the assassinated emperor. But for reasons, you're the actual true heir to the throne. So
from everything that I was able to gather, granted that was early in the story, all the other heirs gave up their birthright essentially when they betrayed the king, because it was them who turned on him.
Yeah, that's not entirely true, but you don't learn much about the actual backstory until chapter 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they said, well, I'll tell you about that later, or don't worry about that right now.
Yeah. So
which was a little bit annoying.
I mean, it's you know, that's part of it. They do betray the emperor, but they were also like betrayed, and I'll get into it in a minute. So yeah, I got all the way to chapter 3, and what the game does is, it's like you against everyone, and you start out at a disadvantage, at a
I would
pretty
say
big
severe.
disadvantage. You've got like this magical ship, which doesn't actually help you in battle, but it's like your command.
Yeah, which is a
ship.
little disappointing. It's the StarCraft model where you have a ship that doesn't really do anything in actual combat, but it serves as a hub to go across different screens and talk to people and go on different missions.
Yeah. So anyways, you've got this ship, and you're at a pretty strong disadvantage. You have just like one small plot of land at turn 1. And it plays out, like we said, as the risk map. And as you actually make progress, different things unlock. So there's the whole political management thing, which Rage mentioned at the very beginning. Once you have won or made it enough turns, I don't know if it has to do with winning battles, but once you've made enough turns, you get ambassadors from the different races, like the major races in the universe, and they form your council. And they acknowledge you as the true heir and start treating you like the emperor, and you basically get to decide all policies. And so they'll bring you, like, it's not every turn, it's but at least every few turns. Sometimes it's more frequent, sometimes it's less frequent. I'm not sure like what the ticker is behind the scenes that actually have them bring you policy decisions, but they will bring you policy decisions. And I did not see a single duplicate. Like they all build on one another too. Like they keep a history of just like what your decisions were that you made. And then they'll like throw that up in your face and be like, well, you denied us this and this, which means that it's our turn. Now you should approve this policy that we want to have approved. And they affect how the different races view you. So essentially, the more a race likes you, the more troops you have, or the more sort of population you have to generate troops during the combat portion from any territory that their race controls. So the more they like you or dislike you, the more or less troops that you have to draw from them. Like everything that you bring into the battle, you get. And it's like given to you for free, even if you go over the maximum like active population or whatever for your battle. Like you can summon them for free once units get killed. But anyways, so based on what policy decisions you make, they like you or they dislike you, which gives you that. And then the policies actually affect other characters on the ship, particularly your generals. And then later on you get to be married, and it affects your bride. And then they affect your sort of overall bonuses. So like, you get in typical, style of this game, you get gold and research and things from the various territories you own. And then you have sort of a luck thing that plays into your chances if you do an auto resolve on combat, which gives you like either a flat bonus or a flat setback of some kind. I mean, it's pretty small. It's like 1 or 2% bonus or 1 or 2%, setback. But the different policies do those. And examples of the policies are, I mean, they're not nuanced at all. It's like one of the first policies that I got was from the elves, and the elves proposed that gay marriage be allowed.
See, I got conscription immediately.
I got some conscription at some point, but it wasn't immediately. Gay marriage was the first one that I got. And the elves wanted gay marriage. And then in the council, you can talk to the different people and they tell you what you think. And that's going to affect, based on what you do with the policy, like that affects their feelings towards you. So you're not just dealing with the person who.
Oh, I bet the dwarves loved this.
The dwarves hated it, and so did the undead. And the
well, each race was also very focused on a particular aspect. So the dwarves were heavily economic. The elves were nature-based, of course. The undead were religious zealots, which was a little odd.
Yeah.
The imps were the science, and I can't
Yep.
remember what the lizards were. If they were like a balance between all of them.
They were sort of pragmatist. Any policy that like made logical sense to them, they were like, yeah, I mean, we can see the negatives to this, but it does make sense. Like, we're at a time of war, so it makes sense that we do this. Very sort of justice focused. And that actually plays in with the bride if you pick the lizard as your bride. I had
So
two.
a lizard fucking a lizard.
Yeah, I had two. I'll explain that later.
Oh,
So anyways, like, you know, the imps were like, we don't really care about who marries who, so I guess that's fine. And then the lizards were like, it makes sense for all people to be treated equal. We like this. And then the dwarves were like, no, that's terrible. Why would we do that? And then the undead were like, oh, this is an abomination. The undead and the dwarves really hated me because the dwarves are basically like capitalist, like pure capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yes, I'm going to make this a socialist utopia. Like, guaranteed time off? Yes, please. Workers' compensation and healthcare? Yes, please. And the dwarves are like,
what the fuck are you doing?
yeah, they're like, we're going to lose so much money. And then the undead hated me because, you know, I'm not religious. So if it came down to like, unless for some reason the religious choice was going to be beneficial in some way, I never sided with a religious choice. I think there was only one that I said yes to because it was like, no, they were still mad at me because it was tithing the church or taxing the church. I was like, yeah, we should tax the church. And they were like, no, this the holiest of whatevers. So yeah, that's the only thing involving religion I said yes to.
And they're like, no, don't say yes to that.
And I decreed that the news had to be factual, that they couldn't have, you know, commentary and editorials. Like, it had to be factual news. The dwarves hated that. But I mean, you know, all of these were pretty on the nose. Then there were a couple I got in the late game. The imps wanted to make a super weapon, which I think was a nuke. Like, I think it's supposed to be a nuke.
But
I wound up telling them no, because I wish I had it now. But I was like kicking ass and taking names. So I was like, I don't need that. And everyone else hates the idea of a nuclear bomb. So I'll just say no. And then they wanted to make super soldiers. I said no to that because, again, I was winning pretty hardcore.
Would it actually unlock super soldiers?
I have no idea. And I haven't looked it up. Might be able to look it up. And then there was one other thing that they asked me about, and I said yes to it. Oh, it was turning people into cyborgs. But that was for like workers in factories. It basically turned people into robots. And that gave me like a gold bonus.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going through here now. Let's see. Political choices, conscription. Looks like it's always for and against certain races, but they will comment. So, like conscription grants a ground unit costs 20% less. Sea and air units cost 10% less. Population motivation decreased by 4%. And if you reject, the motivation's increased by 10%, and the 7 curses you, and your luck decreases by 2. Oh, there's my problem.
Yeah. So there's that system, and I mean it's not very nuanced. You've got a similar sort of system with your generals. Like, you go to the pub on your ship and chat with them, and they'll have different situations that pop up throughout the game, and you can, you know, give your input and tell them like what to do as their leader. And you can get different outcomes to different things, and they will give you different bonuses. There were a couple of situations where it seems like that if I had chosen differently, like they might have died, like a general might have died. I don't know if they actually can, but like there was one situation where that one of my generals, I can't think of his name. He's the guy with the robot arm.
Henry?
Yeah. His like daughter was the target of an assassination. So he went after her, So I sent both of the lady generals to go help him because they were like, we want to help him. And you could have said, no, you need to stay here, let him deal with his own problems. Or you could say, yes, absolutely, go help him. So I sent them to
Scarlet
help
was
him.
fun. The tomboy general.
Yes, I loved her.
I actually I kind of liked all the generals. Catherine was a bit of a cold bitch, but I could see warming up to her over time.
Yeah.
And the snooty lizard was also fun.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. But anyways, I sent the two of them to go help him, and they came back, and he was like, "Oh yes, there we were. We were back to back fighting off these enemies. I might have died if they had not came." So I don't know if that's just like flavor text or if he actually could have died, but that was good. And you have, you can get bonuses from your generals. They level up. You can't really like dictate that level up. It's just like once you use them several times to lead, or I'm not sure if it's directly only tied to like the plot, the adventures they go on, but it'll say like so-and-so leveled up and got a point in this thing. And it's just basically bonuses and to different things. So like you get a bonus for light troops, or a bonus for medium ones, or a bonus for air units, or a bonus for fighting in this type of terrain. That sort of thing. So, your generals get a little more specialized. And so if you're going to use those to do automatic combat, you can pick and choose which general is going to be the best for a certain situation. It's also got this system of cards you can play that do different things. There's cards that can let you, for example, sabotage the enemy units on a territory. So like if you're going to attack, maybe you can play a card that sabotages them and makes them move slower or do less damage, that sort of thing. From the strategic map, there's cards that can let you build structures for free on your map. There are buildings which give you bonuses. There's like a factory that produces units. There's like a mage's tower that gives you dragon cards. There's a mine that gives you additional gold. Yada yada, like different things for different either different bonuses or things that they do. So there's cards that can build those. There's cards that can demolish those on enemy's territory. Then whenever you actually go into combat, you have cards you can play, which do various things. You can play boosts or disadvantages to your troops or enemy's troops in this screen. You can play up to 5 cards. You can use mercenary cards, which gives you units in the battle. Those are probably the most useful, particularly for auto battle, because even if it doesn't make any sense for you to stick like a whole bunch of naval units onto a landlocked map, you can still do it. And then you get the percentage increase, and it will, the auto thing will calculate that in your favor. Even though if you did it yourself, they would be completely useless. They would be wasted. So the mercenary units are pretty useful for that. And then there's dragon cards you can play, which give you temporary boosts for one battle or access to abilities that you haven't unlocked yet via the research system for one battle, things like that. I'm trying to think if I've missed anything about the overworld map. As you go from chapter to chapter, the map expands. So chapter 1 is very small. It's like an island chain. Then chapter 2 is like a continent. And then chapter 3 is a couple of continents, or like the main continent, and then a whole bunch of like island chains or something. Like it's very big. Very, very big. And like I checked, there's only 3 chapters in the game, so the map doesn't get any bigger than that. Let's see. Do you have any questions? Anything so far? Before
Not really. I feel bad that I didn't get further in it. It's just
So let me talk about story first a little bit.
All right.
So when it basically like you get your very basic spiel like of who you are and what you're doing and trying to take over everything. So you beat the first.
Yeah, your dad fucked a dragon.
Yep. So you're half dragon. And you can transform into a dragon and go fight stuff. So you get through chapter 1, you get to chapter 2, and the wizard man reveals a lot of plot details to you. Extended information about who it was that actually betrayed your father. And it was someone who was being influenced by a demon. The demon has been captured and is what powers your magical ship. And the demon is basically like the god of war or a god of war. I'm not quite 100% clear on that
boy. You
one.
don't want to hold Kratos for too long. Otherwise, bad things happen.
But basically, he loves war. So this guy came to him and basically asked for power to take over the kingdom. And the god gave him that because he wanted an endless war. So killed the emperor, corrupted the minds of all of the emperor's children except you because you had been banished and he didn't know about you. So this is more like Greek gods as opposed to like the idea of a Christian god or something that's like all-knowing. So he didn't know you existed. So you weren't corrupted. And so there has been an endless war for however many years between the children of the emperor just constantly fighting over territory. And so the wizard tells you that this god exists, and you can choose to go talk to him or you can choose to ignore him. It doesn't really matter. I, of course, went to go talk to him just to see what he had to say. And there are some gameplay mechanics for this. You can ask for power from him. And there's different ways you can do it, which basically give you access to different levels of power.
This seems like a very bad idea.
You can
lore-wise.
You can allow him, like he's completely bound to the ship and so bound to your command. And you can allow him to feast on the nightmares of your soldiers. So he causes them to have nightmares and feasts on their nightmares.
Once again, seems like a very bad idea.
Which you can ask him to do this every few turns, and he gives you like a couple of cards that you can use. You can tell him that you want him to influence one of the races to aid you. And I'm not quite sure how that works, but he like just does something that makes them like you. I don't know if he gives them happy dreams or something, but he's like, oh, my methods are my own. Because it's like, I want you to influence whoever to like me, the dwarves, for example. And he was like, yes, you have done a lot to draw their ire to you. I will change their minds. And then you can ask, like, how are you going to do that? And he's like, oh, my methods are my own.
Money.
I mean, I don't know, but he's the god of war or death or something. So I don't quite understand how that's supposed to work. And then the final level is you can make a sacrifice to him. And if you make a sacrifice to him, the closer it is to you, the more power you gain. So you can sacrifice troops. You can sacrifice a leader, which I assume is one of your generals, or you can sacrifice your wife.
Ooh. So
I sacrificed my wife, and that's how I got 2 wives.
And the second one's like, you're not doing that to me.
Oh no, I'm gonna sacrifice her too. I could really use a power boost if I go back and finish this game. Like, I'm not even gonna finish her storyline. I'm just gonna boot her. Actually, I don't know if I can do that. Don't know if I can do that. So let me explain the wives first. So at a certain point in chapter 2, like, I mean, it's really early. It's like, hey, you need to get married, and so you do a couple battles, and it's like, hey, here's all these brides, and all of the ambassadors except for the imp present you with a bride.
Well, you don't get to fuck an imp?
Well, the imp bride came, but she blew herself up in an accident.
Sure, accident.
Yeah, they're apparently all imps like yearn to go out in a glorious fireball. So she blew herself up in an accident. She was working on presenting, like, making a gift for you, like some kind of weapon.
Oh, so she was Marie Carey.
Yeah.
She was trying to make the nuke and, irradiated herself.
Yeah. No, she blew herself up. So each of the ambassadors brings you a bride.
Trying to make her look better.
Yeah. So anyways, each of the ambassadors bring you a bride, and they each have a distinct personality and look. And then they have their own like set of story missions or story. I mean, they're not missions. It's like you come back from a battle. So a new turn starts, and you can go to the Queen's chamber and, talk to her. And they all have a storyline that you can basically make the decisions for to get different outcomes. And as a result, different bonuses. So I'm not sure what the undead one is. I think based on context clues that I learned throughout the game that she's suffering from some kind of disease that can actually kill undead for good.
Ooh.
Because if an undead dies, like, they eventually just come back. but this
I
disease
got
actually
better.
kills them. This disease actually kills them for good. I think that's where her thing is. But she is both like very ugly and has nothing to offer from a strategic point of view. Like
And no
she's
tits.
yeah, she has no tits at all. Then there was the elf, and she is the princess, and she's like believes in true love, and she like loves you at first sight.
Oh boy.
And
One of those.
yeah, hang on a second. That's how we talk about you is Rage. We call you Rage.
Also, not Jesus now.
Oh, haha. I was like, what are you talking about? I see. Anyways, where was I? Elf.
Princesses.
True love. Yes, the elf princess. So
True
she believes
love.
in true love. I have no idea what her story is, but she's very upset when you don't choose her as your bride, and she cries. She's got a very pretty face, but the most attractive one is the dwarf, because she's got some big old knockers. Just huge tracts of land, and they make that joke about her. But she turns out to not only be beautiful, but also like have a really interesting story and some good things to offer and leadership traits. So whenever you pick her, you get a dowry of a lot of gold. It's like 100 gold or 90 gold or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically at the time when you pick a bride, that's like 10 free units essentially that you get.
Yeah.
Or, several buildings or whatever. And her story is that there is her father, the king of all dwarves, is an asshole, and she hates him. And she wants you to help organize his demise. And you can choose to
like
help.
her.
You can choose to help, or you can choose to not help. And I obviously chose to help. And in the end, like, you send in spies, and you steal like his little black book, and you reveal all of his dirty little secrets. And like the family turns on him, and they murder him. And then she, like pisses on his like burns his body and pisses on his ashes, and then like dumps them in a mine or something.
In a latrine.
Like that's actually what happens. I'm not making that up. That's what she does. You can choose to be like, no, he was still the king. You should offer him a proper burial. You should be like, or you can say something along the lines of like, aha, based on what you told me, he deserves no better than this. and also, of course, she's, Irish or Scottish or whatever that.
Scottish.
That stereotypical dwarven accent.
You mean
That's
the awesome stereotypical dwarven accent?
Indeed. So that's her storyline, and it's great. You
murdered her,
and she's wonderful. And then I was like, when I went and talked to the dragon, he said that I could sacrifice my wife to him. So I'm gonna do that now that I've completed her storyline. So I sacrificed my wife, and I got a shitload of cards. He gives you like 3 of each type of card.
You better hope that there's no afterlife in this world. Otherwise, she's going to be there waiting. Yeah,
she will be. So then after, it's like everyone's like, she disappeared. We haven't seen her. And then it's like, you can concoct this story like she fell over the edge in the middle of the night and plummeted to her death.
Very sad.
When you go back and talk to the dragon, he's like, ah, yes, or not dragon, the demon. He's like, ah, yes, she was so pleasantly plump and ample in all the right places. I feel engorged. And then he like presents you with all of his gifts of power. And then I got second wife, which was the lizard
then you're
lady.
thinking, damn, maybe I should have, if she was pleasantly plump.
But then I got a second wife, which was the lizard lady, the lizard queen. And she like doesn't care about you or love you or anything. She just wants to use her position of power, her new position of power, to like, she's like a judge, like a Supreme Court judge, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wants to use her new influence with you as the emperor to help her with cases. So she's like the first thing she tells you, she's like, I'm not concerned with matters of love. So if you would like a mistress or several, that is your prerogative. I'm merely interested in the dispensation of justice and how you can help me do that.
And
I'm like, all right. I'm like, all right. So I've done a few, of her quests or storyline or whatever, and they're all basically just cases that she presents to you. And she's like, what do you think I should do? How can you use your influence to direct this case for me? So I picked do that. But I mean, she's also pretty attractive. She's like probably the second best looking. But so those are all the different brides you are able to wed. So I want to sacrifice her, but I don't know if I can. So going into chapter 3, like in chapter 2,
especially since he's engorged, right?
Yeah. So in chapter 2, to finish off chapter 2, you capture the entire continent. What's the continent in Divinity?
Rivendell? Rivendell, yeah.
Yeah. No, Rivendell. Is that Lord of the Rings?
That was the first one, at least.
Tamriel's Elder Scrolls. Divinity, yeah, Rivendell's definitely Lord of the Rings, right? I feel like I'm failing Nerd Kingdom. Rivellon.
Yeah,
Rivellon.
Close enough.
That's it. So you capture the continent of Rivellon, you kill all of your half brothers and sisters, take over all the capitals, and it's like, yes, you have won. You have, oh no, the demon frees himself because he wants endless war. And so then like the map pulls back.
And then the ship plummets out of the sky.
That does not happen. He's still physically bound to the ship. It's like he's soul bound to it. So he can't escape, but...
Oh, so he can't trade it off. Got it.
But he, haha. But he...
It took you a moment.
So he like uses all of his power that he's gathered from the war to influence the minds of the rest of the world? ? I don't know where we're at on the map, basically. But everyone hates you and is wanting to attack you and take over your lands. And they're now powered up. And it does not carry over your army from chapter 2 to chapter 3. So you get some starting troops, but I didn't even get half of what I had. And it basically makes Rivellon from like, mini multiple territories to like 2. So all that land I captured, all that gold, I didn't really need the research. I'd maxed out my research before getting to chapter 3. But all the gold production that I had and all my troops, all gone. So you're back to square one. Like you come into chapter 2 on fairly equal footing. You do have less than all of the other, your other enemies, your siblings, but they're fighting each other too. And you start on like a lonely corner of the map. So you get several turns. I had like 6 or 7 turns in that phase before I even had to fight a skirmish. So you get some time to establish yourself, and it's not really a problem. Going into chapter 3, it's just like chapter 1. You have like 1 territory, and within like 2 turns, you're under attack, and they have more troops than you, and now they're stronger than you. The demon god bonus is a flat 20, I think it's 25% increase to their stats. So they're faster, hit harder, have more health, and can use their powers faster, like the unit special abilities. It's redonkulous. And yeah. I did the first few turns. I did okay for a little bit with like the enemies that were directly around me, but then the enemies from farther away on the map start showing up, and just I've got to save in every turn on that save. Like after I reload it, my shit gets wrecked in my capital, and there's just no way I can take it back. I don't have enough troops. So I'm probably going to restart the chapter and go from there. Make some different decisions. But so, I mean, that's the base story. I don't exactly know how the game ends. I mean, obviously you win and you take everyone over when you finish, but I don't know like what the actual ending of the game does. But yeah, so that's the story. The actual combat itself is pretty RTS-y. I mean, if you've ever played an RTS before, you basically get it. It's more tactics. You don't really build very much. There's like plot points on the ground you take over, and you can build a couple of different building types to produce different units, or to make your like your troop counter go up faster so you can build more people. And then there's defensive turrets you can place. It controls like an RPG. You know, you can set up control.
Yeah, sort of Age of Empires as well, where the different building points, because it's a set building location, can be captured, and rather quickly, I might add.
Yeah.
And also, I found it, maybe it's just because I'm not used to controlling a camera like that. I often found myself with the camera flipped around, and I was either going the wrong way or looking the wrong way, or looking in a direction I didn't think I was.
Yeah.
And the mini map didn't exactly help me on that. To figure out what direction I was facing.
They're not the best controls, but they're also not the worst controls. I mean, they're pretty average.
No, it's not Brutal Legend, at least.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty average for me. Like I've played tons of RTS before. Like, you know, we've talked about this before. This is a genre that I have a lot more experience in than you do.
Yeah, I mean I have dabbling experience, but yeah, I just got wrecked.
Yeah. But so I mean it controls basically like any RTS you've ever played, and then like having direct control of your unit, it feels very much like controlling something like a helicopter in a, you know, an arcade flight game. You've got, you know, a standard attack. There's a different dragon types that do different things, but I mean they all basically work the same. You have like a basic fireball attack, and then the type of dragon you pick really determines your special abilities on the upper end. So my dragon, I forget what my dragon type was called, but basically I had the one that buffed all of my units.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I wish I'd picked a different dragon type because that was pretty useless. Trying to control your units while you're the dragon, which you can do, is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And there's no way to switch back and forth. Like if you relinquish control of your dragon, you have to spend another 20 people population to resummon your dragon. Which, you know, doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're like trying to micromanage, you're going to be burning through that resource pretty quickly. But I mean, the dragon can make or break certain battles if you're on like the 50% line from the auto generator.
Mm-hmm.
Just because if you want to fight defensively, the dragon is the way to go. Because you can do a lot more damage than any of the other units directly to units. The dragon sucks offensively against buildings. I don't know why, but I don't know if it's got like some, I don't know, reduction, some setback against buildings or some, you know, reduced damage or something, but the dragon cannot destroy buildings faster than even a small group of units. But when it comes to wiping out other units, you can just wreck them. So setting up a defensive line, the dragon is the way to go. But I mean, like I said, that's only on those battles where it's real tight on your percentage points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somewhere between like 40 to 60% in that range right there, the dragon can make the difference. If it's under 40, I managed to squeak out like 1 or 2 wins on less than 40%. Just like, fuck it. Like, you know, I'm going to try and hold this place, and I made it work. But typically I lost. And then if it was over 60, you could usually win on the auto battle without too many casualties. In fact, I never lost on auto battle if it was more than 60%. So fairly simple, standard stuff there.
I was often just getting severely outnumbered, which was irritating.
Which, even though you start outnumbered in those battles, and the AI is real dumb, so it takes it a little bit to get going. Once it gets going, if you're at a disadvantage, it can steamroll you, and there's really nothing you can do because it's relentless. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like it cheats. I mean, you can run their population out just like they can run yours out.
Yeah, the only problem is that the AI, at least in the first chapter, has 3/4 of the map.
Yeah, they start with a lot more than you.
So on like turn 2 or turn 3, I just saw this long ticker of all the research it just got. You know, I knew it was going to be a bad time.
Yeah. So,
and for fun, I looked up the undead, what her storyline was. It is the disease, but it has a branching path line.
Yeah, they all have branching path lines.
Well, it's you could either cure her, or transplant her soul into a machine, or
Interesting.
have her transformed into a human and then she becomes a vampire.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, but you have to let a wandering magician fuck her. So
Eh.
now the question is that before or after he turns her human?
Eh.
But yeah, interesting.
So yeah, I mean I think I've pretty much covered everything I can think of. I guess I mean, subjectively, I did not find the game difficult at all until chapter 3.
Well, I just couldn't get going on it. It's a very snowbally game. If you don't get going immediately,
Yeah.
you're going to have trouble. But I just got steamrolled because of it, because I just typically don't do rush tactics. And that's what this game pretty much forces you to do.
Yeah, I had to restart once. The first time I played, I was just kind of like learning what to do and how the specific camera.
Yeah,
And
there is a tutorial, but the thing is that it's hidden and it's not in the actual campaign, so I just overlooked it. And from what I understand, it basically is the first chapter of the campaign. It's just they lock down the expansion of the enemy.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible way to do it.
Yeah. Otherwise, the tutorials are just like videos, and the
Mhm.
guy's like, "You press the button to do the thing."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like,
they
okay,
yeah they
this
don't
is
yeah
useless.
they say the transformation button.
It's like, okay, well, which one's that by default? I mean, it's R, but I didn't know that.
Well, don't you know transformation starts with R?
Yeah. I mean, I ignored all the tutorials. I figured it out as I went.
I just got incredibly frustrated with it very quickly because it wasn't telling me what to do properly, and then when I started to figure it out, it was just not gelling with how I play these games.
Yeah.
And then
So
then the entire enemy army ends up in my capital on like turn 4 or turn 5, and it's like, well, fuck. Turn down the difficulty, and there's 3 less units.
yeah, I honestly don't know what the difference is between normal and easy because I played on normal. Once I realized,
3
oh, I
units.
need to be rushing, then I restarted and I rushed at the beginning, got a foothold, and then I was like, okay, I'm fine. Up until now, chapter 3 is there now. They've started cheating.
Do you think you're going to finish the game?
I don't know. I mean, overall, I liked it. It was probably like a B- sort
I
of
would
game.
say that it's a type of game. If I could have gotten into it, I think I would have enjoyed the political side of it, not the RTS side of it. Just
Yeah.
because it feels too cumbersome to be able to control things.
I mean, that's really like how I feel about it. Like the RTS portion of it is very standard, very average. Doesn't really do anything to stand out. And at times can be frustrating. But the political aspect of it,
Also, was there an attack move option?
No, there is not. There's no attack move.
That's what I was trying to figure out, because in one battle I had most of my army wiped out because I sent them to face off against the enemy. I figured that they would stop an attack. Nope, they just casually walked past and got slaughtered.
Yep, there's no attack move.
Seems like a pretty standard feature not to have, doesn't it?
Yep, I don't think I've ever played an RTS without attack move before. But there's definitely not one. Like I checked, there's no. It's not even like, oh, you have to press a button or whatever to do the attack move. Like it just doesn't exist. But anyways, yeah, the RTS portion is very average at best. But the political management and a lot of the fun stuff that they do with the marriage system and the demon and that sort of thing, like it's fun and it's different. That part of it is different. I've not seen that before in an RTS. Yeah, I've not seen that before in an RTS. I was just thinking, like, stopping for a minute to think about all the ones that I've played. I've played some RTS that have some sort of almost like RPG-esque mechanics to them, where you do have like someone you change and level up as you go along, but nothing quite like this. I have seen some systems like this in a 4X game, but this is not a 4X game. So it was different. It was neat. It was cute. They hit the tone right, like for all of the different races. A lot of the stuff was very tongue in cheek, but they also knew how to be serious at times. So overall, like that really brought it up quite a bit for me. And that was the part that I liked. Like I purposefully sat in chapter 2 and didn't destroy the last capital. One, I was building up because I was like, okay, there's definitely going to be a chapter 3. So I'll need my army after this.
Oh boy, right?
Away. But also like, I was thinking like, okay, like I like all of this stuff. Like, so let's see what other shenanigans we can get into with all of the ambassadors and the generals. So overall for me, it's like a B-. If that political intrigue sort of thing wasn't in there, it would be a C or a C-, but that really did a lot for me. Quite liked it. And then obviously you did not get along well with it. Yeah. So
it just didn't gel with me.
Yeah. Do you have any final questions or anything?
Not really. I think you covered everything.
Okie dokie. Well, for December, we are going to be playing Recettear, an item shop's tale.
Yeah, the true meaning of the holidays. Capitalism, ho!
Oh, you beat me to it. Although my throat hurts a bit. I'm out of tea, so maybe it's good that I didn't get all loud about capitalism. But yeah, this is a game that I think we've both played before.
Yeah, I didn't beat it. I got a bit way through it, and I didn't realize that it was essentially the now I'm blanking on the name of Dead Rising style, where you hit a game over and it resets you, and you keep a lot of your progression so you can continue on. I didn't realize that at first, and I put it down. I never got it. Picked it back up again without realizing that. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. December is a short month for us because of Christmas and then New Year's being 2 weeks, back to back, with Tuesday being the holiday. So we're only going to have 3 weeks in December, right? 1, 2, 3 weeks in December. So this one will be coming up a little quicker. We've got some stuff planned for December. We'll get into that later, as in like maybe the next episode. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we've only got 3 weeks to play it. So that is going to be the December Game Club episode is going to be December 18th. Just for you listeners, if you want to play along at home. But with that wraps up our Game Club stuff.
Yeah,
I definitely
need to hit the elevator to go down to the food court.
Yeah, I definitely need some tea. That was me carrying that one. So,
well, sorry.
Nah, it's fine. You carry plenty too. So, all right, we will be right back. And yes, I shall be right back. I'm gonna go make a cup of tea, and I guess check on my kid because Katie asked me to do that.
Yeah, probably should do the whole parental thing. And we are back, and Jared's over there nursing his cup of tea, and trying to recover his voice after carrying me, which I have to admit is quite the feat.
I'm a strong boy.
So we have one news topic for the week. Then we are going to jump into the community corner. But first, we have loot boxes are gambling. We have more loot box talk. Yay! Right?
Yeah, the one that never goes away, that never dies.
Oh boy! So this is actually late breaking. This happened just a couple of hours before the episode started to record. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, will be investigating loot boxes. And this is tied into also a report that the BBC was reporting on the 21st, which was last Wednesday. So barely missed us last week. Talking about the number of child gamblers quadrupled in just the past 2 years. And to be fair, the report doesn't exactly link loot boxes into this. It's more of a generalized gambling, but between that and all the European countries starting to really crack down on loot boxes and their gambling commissions cracking down on them, the FTC jumped in and said, "Hey, we'll take a look." I don't have much faith in this. Do you? Not the current FTC, I should say.
No.
Of having a decisive look at this, I should say.
Yeah, no, I have no faith at anything in this current administration. They suck.
Especially with the FTC being led by the person with the most punchable face in the government right now, right?
Indeed.
Him and his comically oversized mug because he's wacky, you know? Oh. Can we just put him on a rocket and let it hurtle into the sun? Well, we should have packed him a bag lunch, put his oversized Reese's coffee cup in the rocket, and let him catch a ride with the NASA's solar probe.
Send him with Rocket Man. Elon Musk has just shipped him to space.
I was about to say, how's Kim Jong-un factor into this? Well, that's little Rocket Man. I can't believe he actually was given a copy of Elton John's record. Oh, we truly live in the dumbest times.
Indeed, we do. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was about to say, yeah, let's try to get back on topic. And to be fair, getting into the politics of the situation isn't exactly off topic, but it's depressing.
Yeah, it's very depressing. So from the children increase in children gambling, child gamblers,
mm-hmm.
the line that directly relates to us or to the gaming community, it's right above on the page. It's right above the picture of the Liz Ritchie. That's what the caption says, Liz Ritchie. It says the commission also raised concerns that close to 1 million young people had been exposed to gambling through loot boxes in video games or in smartphone apps. These can involve a player paying money for an item that's only revealed after the purchase.
Yeah, so they are tying it in, but it's not a keynote of the entire thing, which is just disturbing. Over the past 12 months, 39% of 11 to 16-year-olds have spent their money on gambling and 14% in the previous week, according to this report. Young people have gambled in the past week, spent an average of £16, which would be about $25 or so, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Because it's essentially a 2-to-1 ratio, if I recall correctly.
It's less than that now, unless it's changed again, but it's still...
It is $20.
Oh, wow. Has the British pound fallen that much, or has the dollar raised a little?
I'd
imagine it's the first one, right? The U.S. dollar is not doing hot as far as I know.
Brexit isn't exactly helping them.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious. Well, British pound is definitely going down. Let's put it this way: in the last, I was about to say, in the last year, but that's in the last 2 weeks. It's lost about 2 or 3 cents. Let's see. Wow. Take a look at the British pound on the year chart. Just search Google British pound and it has the thing. Take a look at that. There's your problem.
Can't type.
Let's just put it this way. In April, on April 20, April 17th, I clicked forward a little too far. It was about $1.43 per. Now it's down to $1.27.
Dang.
So free falling?
I don't know if I'd call that a free fall, but it's definitely declining.
But anyway, 6%, getting back on topic once again, 6% had gambled online using a parent's or guardian's account, which is also a bit disturbing. And
the question is, were they doing it in secret or were the parents allowing it?
60% of young people think their parents would prefer them not to gamble at all. However, only 19% said that their parents set strict rules about gambling. So I'm going to guess that in secret.
Yeah.
It's just getting a little crazy with the whole gambling and loot boxes essentially being a gateway into it, because it is the slot machine mechanic, quite literally the slot machine mechanic.
Yeah. And I mean, every kid that I work with that's over 9, 10, somewhere around there, they all spend their allowance on loot boxes. And you know, in the past, it's been sort of spread out. Here lately, within like the last year, every kid I've worked with, it's like, yeah, I buy stuff in Fortnite. I buy the llamas in Fortnite.
Why do you need the llamas?
Because the llamas are the loot boxes.
Oh.
Nobody
I don't
buys...
play Fortnite. I don't give a damn about Fortnite.
Yeah, I know. I don't either. I like the save the
Obviously,
world
they
mode.
make it so festive, I guess. You know, you're bashing open a pinata. At least I hope it's a pinata. It's not an actual llama.
Yeah, they're llama pinatas.
Okay.
Loot pinata. But anyways, yeah, it's that or crates and Overwatch. Those are probably the two most common ones currently.
Good thing you're not in Europe, then it all would be FIFA cards.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so sad that we've gotten to this point, that it's taken this report and Belgium cracking down. Was it Norway? I know EA was essentially trying to die on on this hill in Belgium court, because FIFA packs. I didn't really equate it to FIFA packs as well, even though it is. But FIFA packs is a good chunk of their income. That's why they're wanting to flaunt the law. Because it comes down to the whole, you know, if they could make money even though they have to pay the fine, you know, some companies will just, you know, do something unlawful.
Yeah, there's plenty of companies that do that. I'm looking. It is Belgium. I'm doing the Googles.
All right, I'll be quiet while you do the Googles.
But no, it was Belgium where EA was like, no,
yeah,
we're going to
I knew it was Belgium. I just couldn't remember the other country that was cracking down hardcore. Belgium's the one I remember a lot easier, just because that's the one EA is directly competing against now. But yeah, it's being brought up by Senator Maggie Hansen, Democrat from New Hampshire. Mentioned that loot boxes were predicted to be a $50 billion business by 2020, and such transactions were endemic to the industry. Simmons concluded that the FTC was undertaking this project and keeping the committee informed about it. Which, am I the only one expecting the whole net neutrality thing coming again? You know, where they basically say, if we step in, it comes against the company's rights to make money, right? They have to make all the money in the world. Otherwise, we are hurting the company's rights, which also comes around to the whole, you know, corporations being viewed as people. Right.
Yep. Corporations have more rights than we do because they have more money, which counts as free speech in the United States. And fuck everything about that sentence I just said.
Do you need to go wash your mouth out with soap now?
I'm good for now. I'm sure there'll be another moment later where I'll need to wash it out. So I'll just wait. I'll do it all at once.
Oh, you just want to get filthy, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
But is there a really lot to talk about this outside of just, hey, it's happening again?
Again. Yeah, I don't think so.
This is the story that really just won't go away. It's like that irritating rash, right? You try the ointment, you go to the doctor, that you get the creams, and no, it just won't go away. It's just a thing now. It makes me wonder eventually when this gets outlawed, or I shouldn't say outlawed. I don't think it'll be outlawed. Even, with all the regulation, I think it'll be restricted, and it's going to die a death of adults only. Because the big spenders are children, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So
if the games go adult only, I do think that will hurt sales enough, or be a threat of sales enough to force them to go probably to the battle pass method. I think that's going to be the next one, which is slightly less bullshit, but it also depends on just how crazy they go with it, because some of them are several hundred hours within the course of a month or two.
yeah. I mean, the games industry is just going to find the next thing to try and exploit against people. By the end of this, I've not been like a huge like AAA gamer for a while now.
Yeah, there's something about following the games industry. It kind of makes you not as much of a fan of the video games, doesn't it?
Yeah, but by the end of this year, like compared to even where I was at the beginning of this year, I'm just like, fuck the AAA industry. I'll stick to my lovely indie and AA developers.
Yeah, because they have BattleTech, right?
Yeah, they have BattleTech, Planet Explorers, Spin Tires, the truck simulators. Those are my jam.
Yeah, I do think we're going to see a rise of the AA developers once again, especially as people get more and more fed up with AAA bullshit. I don't think there's going to be a complete falling out. The bubble's not going to burst, in my opinion, but on the AAA gaming industry. But there's definitely going to be a deflation. People are going to eventually get tired of being squeezed, I think. I hope.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't happen in other. This is sort of.
Yeah, this is such a weird thing. This is a gaming industry only thing, really. Because you don't see, the music industry, if you pre-order, you get this extra track on your disc.
Yeah, you don't see that happening.
Or, some sort of microtransaction in the actual music. Or, even the closest thing I could even think of would be like special editions of movies. But even then, it's nowhere near like this. Where, you have all the different editions and all the director's cuts and everything like that. Even the buying on those is far less.
Yeah.
The gaming industry is several $100s on the special editions. And then they get in trouble for swapping out stuff.
Yeah.
Did you look at that one link on the docket?
No, which one?
It's the Reddit one. I want you to look at this. But it's under DC Law Firm, the last one on that. I may have to put this in the show notes now. But them are advertising canvas duffel bags and then swapping out for cheap nylon for a $200-some version of the game.
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, that just looks terrible, doesn't it?
Yeah, that looks real bad.
I mean, you don't see anything like this in the movie industry, in the music industry. The book industry is like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
We're not planning on doing anything about it. Bethesda Gears. Oh. Not even like partial refunds or anything?
Nope.
I mean, I would assume, of course not, but.
This is Bethesda. Bethesda is in a race to try to catch up to EA, to hit the bottom of the barrel when it comes to customer goodwill.
I'm very quickly scanning through these comments.
They're trying to dodge all the torches and pitchforks.
No, not really anything in here about. Okay. gonna have to come back and read this through more thoroughly later. There's looks like some interesting back and forths going on in the comments.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, we just don't see anything like this in any other entertainment medium. So this is really a case of the law being very far behind and consumer protection being absolutely bullshit in the U.S.
Yeah. Worst in the U.S. It's still behind in other places too, although it seems to be catching up. Catching up to digital. I mean, there's much better consumer protection in Europe and such, but on the digital front, even though it is better in Europe, it's still not as good as it needs to be. But anyways, yeah. So, ready to jump on over to our community corner?
Yeah, I think so. We only had a tweet from Kyle this week. Just finished all the bosses run. Just finished an all bosses run of Souls Remastered. Calamite was some stupidly hard shit. Feels good though. So he's into the pain. Got it.
Wink, wink. Right. Nudge, nudge.
Uh-huh. And that was really it. But beating a hard game does feel really good, or beating a hard boss. That's kind of why I go back to Cuphead every so often. Start hammering away on a boss.
Get a sense of pride and accomplishment.
How? I'm not swiping my credit card.
I beat you to it. I got that joke in there first. I did
Actually, I wasn't going for it, so.
I win. Packing it up. Going home. I'm ignoring that last comment you just made. I win.
A winner is you.
Woo. Okie dokie.
If you wish to put more content in the community corner, you could do so by emailing vglpodcast@gmail.com or just tweeting to us VGL Podcast, just like Kyle did. So, time for a doobly-doo?
Indeed, we'll doobly-doo to the Discovery Queue.
Yeah, and my first one's bullshit this time around, so, hey.
What is this?
Second one looks good, though. And I'm scrolled down too far because I went to... Oh, and I scrolled up too far. Can't believe I didn't get this before. Oh, and that is the wrong place. I got Jump Force, which is essentially anime fighting the game. All the Shonen Jump animes from Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball, all coming together in one glorious mess of a fighting game.
Oh, I remember this from E3.
Yeah. It's on Steam now. It's on pre-purchase. It's coming out in 2 months. Yeah, once again, don't pre-order, but it's going to be interesting to see how they try to balance all this. Because there's several characters in these various franchises. I see One Piece, I see Dragon Ball Z, I see Yu-Gi-Oh! That are literally planet killers. So it'll be interesting to see if they try to balance it, if they are just going to have everybody be super powerful and just over-the-top battles, which will be fun. I'm not a big fighter guy, but it looks interesting. And for someone that enjoys anime and wants to see if if Goku could beat everybody, there you go, right?
Yeah. So I got an interesting one. So I'm just going to read this. It's called Occupy White Walls. To say it's a PC sandbox building AI-driven MMO where people play with art developed by folks who really love architecture and abstract characters would be a bit of a mouthful.
What?
Like, that sounds pretentious as hell, but this looks fascinating. Like an abstract art gallery simulator. It's free to play, so I might check this out. But it's just like, it's weird. It's different. I've never seen anything advertised like this before, so have to check that out.
So back to the games?
Yeah, sure.
I got Element Space. Element Space is a turn-based tactical squad RPG set 200 years into the future. So essentially XCOM once again.
Sweet. I like XCOM.
It's being suggested to me because of Shadowrun Dragonfall and Version Synapse. It looks like it has some RPG elements as well, but some of these screenshots look very XCOM-ish. And it looks like it's also very cover based with various abilities as well. So a bit XCOM with some like Final Fantasy Tactics thrown in, perhaps. Interesting.
Huh.
Definitely worth checking. It's early access and it's $20.
I'm gonna look at that real quick, or pull that up real quick.
Or you got one?
Huh. This looks neat.
Yeah, like I said, it looks very XCOM, huh?
Add to wish list.
Boy, that's a bubble game if I've ever seen one. I just looked at yours.
Yeah, it's called Merchant. They advertise it, or say like great for second screen gaming, something like this. As long as it's not got too many mobile trappings, it's free to play. So I assume it's with DLC. So I assume it's going to be a mess. But like something like this might be a good game to have going on the background at work for me. I don't know, but it kind of looks neat. It made me go, huh, when I saw it. So, I mean, that's better than a lot of the shit that pops up on this list. So, a low bar, I guess, but good enough to pass it. So,
yeah, really low bar. Well, I got Marble It Up, a marble platforming / looks like a little bit of speedrunning game. Okay. I'm just looking at the trailer here, and it has some very expansive levels. It's not some of the other marble type games I've seen on Steam, where it's essentially a very small bar that you have to try to roll across, like a platformer. That's why I'm going to call it almost like a racing game. Looks interesting. It's once again in the $20 range, so I'm not sure about it, but it's on a full release. It's not early access. It released looks like last week. Yeah, last Sunday. And I imagine it's the only game that this developer's made. But interesting.
Yeah. So I got one.
It looks like it has some good movement on it. Yeah, and some good physics on it. A lot of bouncing and rolling around. Okay, you up?
Yes. I just looked at yours real quick. That reminds me of Marble Blast Ultra. Anyways, yes. A Raven monologue. Apparently, this might be the week for like pretentious art games. Because it looks like a pretentious art game, but it's free. It says a Raven monologue is a short experimental silent story about a raven that does not know how to croak and his relationship with the people in the town. Is this game relevant to you? Yes, because you've played games tagged indie. That's how it recommended this to me. But I mean, I'm quite intrigued. I'm quite intrigued. I'm going to download this one later, too, I think.
Ooh, this looks really interesting. Yeah, I'm just... Okay. This might be my pick for the week, even though we don't do that, but this looks really interesting to me. HellSign. Action RPG, so probably immediately lost you. HellSign is an investigative action RPG that pits you against the horrors of the afterlife, let loose on a small town.
Yeah, no, I'm out. ARPG horror, I'm out.
It doesn't look like jump scares. Horror tends to be kind of standard for ARPGs because of skeletons and vampires, that sort of thing. As a hunter, you'll plan, hunt, and kill to pay the bills and piece together the fragments of your past. Just remember, a small hunter is always prepared. So looks like trying to investigator. So a mystery mixed in with ARPG is interesting, and it looks like there's some sort of highlighter system in the codex to be able to mark down, what exactly is relevant, so you could go back and glance at it. It looks like it's also a lot more story driven than a few other ARPGs I've run into, which isn't a bad thing. It does look like it has some very mixed reviews though, but like I said, it looks interesting, and it has pretty much the standard, just standard loot system. It's not the Diablo style where each item takes up so many slots and you have to kind of do inventory Tetris. And there's some sort of mobile base because he's looting a car trunk. So, real world. All right, you up?
I actually am done with my queue. So,
do
you want me to start another one, or?
Yeah, we could do. We could go a little bit longer on this. Loop the music.
I was about to start making music noises, but they won't line up properly, probably. So that would just be a nightmare for months of years. Even worse than my usual music noises.
Huh. Interesting. Equilinox, a nature life sim. Equilinox is a relaxing nature simulation game in which you can create and nurture your own ecosystems, shape the world to your liking, cultivate and raise hundreds of different species, and evolve your wildlife to unlock more exotic plants and animals. So there's your second screen game, right?
Yeah.
Very low poly, in a kind of charming way.
Oh, that's interesting.
But also kind of pretty as well. Full release, $10 price tag. Is this game relevant to you? Because you played the game, games tag indie, simulation, single player, great soundtrack.
Nice.
The rabbit animation is kind of hilarious. It's very bare bones, but there's something about when they do low poly on purpose and do a kind of a very basic animation on purpose that can be charming, but can be very tiresome as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying?
So my next one, Airman. First person airship.
Ooh, interesting.
So it's like it's build your own airship using the Minecraft-esque block style. I guess it'd be more voxels. Actually, it looks a little better than that. It's online multiplayer, but also co-op, and it says that you can play against AI if you don't want to play with people. So that's good. And it's all about looting and shooting.
Considering it's a game, it's probably not a bad idea to have proper AI in case the multiplayer scene doesn't catch on.
Yeah. So I like airships. I like building things. I like survival.
The hell is with these tags?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a thing. And that's definitely a thing. Despotism 3K. Humanity is enslaved by an AI, which is awesome because we're on the winning side of the conflict. Exploit puny humans to extract power and build your empire. So, Clicker? It has some weird tags. Pixel graphics, 2D, roguelite, replay value, single player permadeath, difficult, indie, dark humor, strategy, sexual content.
Oh, those people are boning down. I'm watching the trailer. There's a chamber where people get dropped in and they fuck.
Oh, there you go. But yeah, this does look like a clicker, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Almost. Even though I don't think it's quite like that. It looks like some sort of like micromanagement simulator. A lot of button pressing, but it's weird. Get anything else?
I'm sorry, I'm staring at this game. I want it. It's only $8. I might buy it. I don't know. I'll come back to it later.
All right, then Sword and Soldiers 2, Shawarmageddon. Yeah, let's go with that. Essentially, a swarm tower defense game. Sword Soldiers. It's put out by the same company that did Awesome Knots. It's tug of war tower defense, where it's the type where you can build up your towers, but you also send out units to try to overwhelm the other enemy space. You know what I'm talking about now?
Yeah.
It's that. looks like they did a severe upgrade on the graphics from the original, if I recall correctly. I mean, this is definitely not bad looking. They spent a lot of time on their art. And that demon has very... they're very happy to see us. Let's put it that way. They're excited even.
Oh my.
You found it, huh?
No, I'm oh mying. So this has to go on here because it just looks so bad. This does not look good at all. Dr. Green Stuff. It's a drug growing simulator game. And I mean, whoop-de-doo, another simulator, whatever. But this looks real bad. Real. I mean, very clear asset, flipping type stuff.
Oh, wow. That's terrible.
Mismatched styles. The plants look okay. But just about everything else looks garbage.
But it'll get a lot of sales because, hey, weed man.
Yeah. 420 blaze it, yo.
So I got SimpleRockets. I know you did it before, right? So
I think I got that last week or maybe 2 weeks ago.
But what the hell? SimpleRockets, progression of the original SimpleRockets, only into the third dimension. They are adding a campaign mode, which will be interesting to see what they do with it. It's not out yet, though, the campaign mode. And it's also a very cheap entry level into rocketry. It's a good gateway drug for KSP, or if you want something a little bit more realistic. Or a lot more flexible, because SimpleRockets is built around procedural parts instead of snapping together Lego.
Yep. So that's another... I'm through 2 queues now.
All right. Well, I'm wrapping up my queue, and boy, I got some trash on this. I got stuff on here that would make you go, "Oh, that looks terrible," and not even add it.
You have 8 games. I only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I had a lot of trash that I didn't add.
Oh, I got one more I got to add.
Okay.
And I think you'll love me for adding it. Leisure Suit Larry. Wet dreams won't dry.
Oh, I heard on a podcast that I listened to someone talking about this.
Yeah, I never really played the Leisure Suit Larry games.
They're bad. They're not good games.
But they got tits in them.
They got tits in them, and when you're like 13 years old, and that's all right. But they're just not good games.
They do have. It looks like they worked on their graphics at least, because the earlier modern Leisure Suit Larry. I'm not sure why I'm stumbling over that.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I have a cough drop in my mouth, so the numbing effect.
Yeah, got something in your mouth.
Oh yeah. It had kind of a. They went with a 3D graphics, and they didn't do all that great. So it was highly stylized, but looked terrible. If that makes any sense. I mean, you've seen the earlier one, so you know what I'm talking about, at least.
Yeah.
It looks like they were trying to get back to the roots of the game, with it being 2D, highly stylized, still, but better looking. But the question is, will this be worth half a damn? Probably not. Oh well, right?
Yeah. Oh well.
I'm surprised this isn't your type of game.
Leisure Suit Larry is like, it's not over the top enough to make it funny. It's not a good enough game to make it enjoyable to play on its own. It just feels very stuck in an older time. A different era, both of
sort of
games
like how Duke Nukem Forever was.
Yeah, sort of. So, it just doesn't tick my boxes. I'm not the demographic, despite all of the stuff that I'm into. It's like, This is meant for someone who's like in their
this is
50s,
shocking
I
to me.
think.
This feels odd somehow. This not being for you.
That's okay. So
that wraps up the discovery queue. That was the last one. But it felt like I had to put it in there.
Yeah,
and I had to go look up the other more modern ones, and it's not all that great looking.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, welcome to the portion of the podcast where I go first. If you want to find my things on the YouTubes, you can do so by searching for Gaming Psychologist. If you want to follow me on Twitter, where you can see me tweet about all kinds of things. I haven't tweeted much here lately within like the last week. Was on vacation for Thanksgiving. I was like just sitting around doing nothing during those days. I had a complete social media blackout on like Friday and Saturday. So that was refreshing for my mental state. But I posted a tweet today about wanting a slushie. I really wanted a blue raspberry slushie. I did not get one, which is sad. Maybe I'll get one tomorrow. But yeah, I did not get one of those. But I'll, things will be back to normal on my tweets soon. If you want to be my friend on Steam, you can do so by sending a friend request to jarthur4707. I accept all friend requests and love talking to the lovely people who listen to our show. Everyone's been lovely. I like talking to you guys. You're cool.
And if you wish to let them know exactly what episode of the podcast you're coming from, the password for this week is Walwart.
Nice.
Walwart. I told you it was going to be on the word list, and there wasn't anything that really jumped out this week. So it comes from a discussion we were having. What was that? Friday, Saturday?
Yeah, something like that. I think Saturday.
But yeah, for me, because I've been distracted with the project, didn't get to stream. Well, I had to record RimWorld, and by the time I was done with that, and I would have had about an hour's rest to rest my voice because I did 3 episodes. Yeah, 3 episodes, which each one is, over half an hour because I can't shut the hell up. My throat was feeling a little bit rawlish. And by the time I rested, it was already going to be late. And I figured I would just catch some Z's. Getting old. Don't get old, kids. But yeah, RimWorld is still continuing on. I've been rationing out spin tires just because we've had severe trouble trying to record the last several weeks. And slowly getting a backlog of that up because I'm rationing it out. Can't blame me there, though, right?
No, can't blame you.
But we did finally finish a map.
We did do that, and we started another one.
Yeah, you're never going to let me choose another map. Even though the map list I got, I've only pulled 2 out of the, I think it was 12 off of it. But yeah, shenanigans are going down in spin tires. And I keep meaning to start up the other series, but just I've been feeling tired lately. Just haven't been sleeping all that well. And by the time I catch up on my sleep, something happens that I have to be up, and that just robs me of my sleep. And yeah, it's a vicious cycle, right?
Indeed, it is. The struggle is real.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it for the YouTubes. You can once again, it's Gaming with Caffeine Rage on YouTube. I will get back to streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/caffeine_rage. And if you wish to be alerted before I stream and not when I stream, if you follow me over there, assuming that you turn on the notifications, because for some reason that's default off. I don't know why they have it like that, right?
Yeah. Because they're weird.
Yeah, no, online streaming is weird to begin with. You could follow me on the Twitter, Gaming with CR, where I'll post occasionally about my thoughts, because that only happens occasionally. Or just spam me with links and tell you about my streaming coming up that may or may not happen. Who knows? I think my last one was like, "Hey, guess what? It's Black Friday." After like the 20th email telling me about, "Hey, it's Black Friday." And now Cyber Monday's Cyber Week. Have you noticed that?
Yep, Black Friday week and Cyber Monday week.
Yeah, why don't we just make Christmas year round and be done with it?
The murder rate would rise considerably from having to listen to Christmas music all year.
Especially in retail.
All those shitty Hallmark movies
that Katie loves.
I know. It's very sad.
Poor Katie. Yeah, I went to, immediately after Christmas, and they had the Christmas stuff out. So I could only imagine that the stores have been playing Christmas music for the last 2 weeks. And there's only so much fra la 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 that you can take before you just have to shoot someone, right?
Yeah, there's not that much for me.
There's not a jury in the world that would convict you, right?
Probably not. Who knows?
Anyway, I think we're done rambling. So once again, if you wish to help contribute to the show, you can do so by sending an email to vglpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, gaming-related topics, or just tweet them to us, VGL Podcast. If you also wish to contribute to the show, you can do so with your monies. Patreon.com/VGL Podcast, which is paid for our Podbean account, which once again is VGLpodcast.podbean.com, which hosts the RSS feed, our show notes, and links to all our media online. And if you don't wish to use the RSS, you could also find us on iTunes, Google Play, and speak while I do not. I had one too many cough drops and it's numbed me a little too much. That's my excuse.
I'll allow it.
Thank you, Senor Chan. And you're just sitting there blankly at that reference?
Indeed, I don't.
Look up Senor Chan. Well, I'll finish this off.
Okay.
iTunes, Google Play, or where good podcasts are, we somehow squeaked in there. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod, and our Discovery Cube music is Doobly Doo by the same artist. His work can be found at incompetech.com, and
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
See you next time.
Bye-bye. Did you mean Senor Chang?
Okay, Chang.
I did not watch Community, so...
I didn't either, but he's become kind of a thing.
I've seen memes and GIFs with this guy in it, but I don't... Yeah.
I mean, he's crazy. But once again, kind of slightly long tongue as well, so... One too many cough drops, just trying to also kind of stay awake because... I had a couple days where I just didn't sleep all that well. Woke up with a backache.
Wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Can resist. All right. Bye-bye.